Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios Brisbane on 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Zed Games.
With 10 years experience and over 500 episodes,
Zed Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture.
Want to reach out? Message us on Facebook at ZED Games AU.
Welcome, friends of all designs, to Zed Games. I am Paul, I'm behind the desk tonight, and joining me here in the studio is Zahra.
Hello!
Hello! Oh, wait a second. I can't hear you very well. Can we hear you better now?
Hello!
Oh!
Yeah, there we go.
Coming through my ear holes just the way I like it.
All of Brisbane's going to hear us.
Exactly. And it's actually enforced now. Everyone has to listen to us.
Yeah. It's actually
It's a new COVID restriction.
It's the law now.
Yeah,
Legally, you have to listen to Zed Games. So if you're not tuned in right now...
Yeah, pants on your face and listen to Zed Games every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. On tonight's episode, we'll be starting with some banging news brought to us by Melee tonight. Then we'll be going into a little interview with the CEO of Zero Latency, the VR location around the spot.
Looking forward to that.
Tim Ruse. So I'll be having a chat with him. Not in time. We pre-recorded it because, it's hard to line up at the same time.
We can pretend that it's a live interview.
Yes. It is an edited interview, and the whole interview will go up probably tomorrow at this point because I have not uploaded it yet. So it would be a lie of me to say it will be on the Zed Games Facebook page immediately, but it should be very shortly.
Yep, so stay tuned for that.
Yes. So how have you been?
I've been pretty good. Enjoyed the rain. Really enjoyed the rain.
Nice to have some rain. Last weekend, I think everyone in the Zed Games crew seemed to touch into World of Warcraft for a little while.
Yeah, we did. It was quite fun.
It was locked down, so let's play an MMO.
Yeah.
It did not win me over, but
no.
It was fun to play with friends and chat for a lot of the weekend.
And that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, I think that kind of is the entire purpose of those games. Something to do while you pass some time and hang out with people you like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So that was good. It was quite nice.
Yes. So before we prattle on too much more, we might jump into some news. Are you ready for this?
I am. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Gaming reached unprecedented popularity in 2020. A recent report from the US said that in 2020, consumer spending across video game hardware, content, and accessories reached $56.9 billion, 26% higher than 2019. The top 5 selling games of the year were Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Madden NFL 21, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This marks the 12th year in a row that the Call of Duty franchise took the top spot of the annual US charts. In a parallel trend, Invest Games found investments in the games industry reached a total of $33.6 billion during 2020 across 664 transactions. On the home front, the Australian gaming industry is now worth $3.4 billion. PwC Australia found that Australians are one of the highest per capita spenders on video games in the world, even though our video games are among the highest priced in the world. Gaming has a huge impact on our economy and society, but it is still largely ignored by our government. However, later this year, a Creative Economy Summit is being held and the video games industry has a lot to show off. Pokémon begins its 25th anniversary celebration. Last Wednesday, Nintendo released a video announcing its year-long celebration of the Pokémon franchise's 25th anniversary. We can expect new merchandise, events, fan creations, and of course, games. For one thing, new Pokémon Snap, the sequel to 1999's Pokémon Snap, is set to release on April 30th. The video also reveals Katy Perry as a premier collaborator in the celebrations, suggesting a new Pokemon song is incoming. There are even hints that Pearl and Diamond remakes are in the works. The fan site Centro Pokemon has confirmed that, according to sources close to the company, remakes of Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Pearl are in development for the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon isn't the only game having an important birthday this year. Beloved franchises Legend of Zelda and Castlevania both turned 35 in 2021. Riot Games and Bungie team up to sue cheat distributor. Gated Cheats sells cheat software used in Valorant and Destiny 2 that allow players to give themselves unfair advantages during online play. They make anywhere from $90 for a month to $500 for a lifetime subscription, and lawyers allege tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars have been made in total. The software is designed to specifically go undetected by Riot and Bungie's anti-cheating system. Riot and Bungie claim the use of this software in their games has caused irreparable damage to their goodwill and reputation, and to lose millions of dollars in revenue. As both games are free to play and rely on in-game purchases for revenue, they cannot afford to lose players to an unfair online environment. This isn't the first time someone has been sued for creating cheats, but it isn't common for two companies to team up in this way. And that's all this week in gaming news.
Thank you for that, Melee. We're back now with some very exciting Pokemon discussion.
Yeah, I was thinking we could talk about the whole Bungie and I forgot the other game studio.
Riot, because Valorant.
Teaming up. But I'd much rather talk about Pokemon.
People take down cheat suppliers all the time. They're the scum of the earth. We
That's
just
like
want to
everyday news.
just burn them down.
Pokemon 25th anniversary. Pokemon Snap.
We discovered there is, well, someone can perhaps inform us if we are wrong, but Zahra thought that maybe there wasn't a clock-based Pokemon, and clock Pokemon has not given me any results on the computer here. So maybe correct. There is no clock-based Pokemon, so now we've got something for the next iteration to do.
Yeah. So
clocks are the time-based pieces. A sundial.
I don't think they actually make.
So it starts at sundial, goes to like analog clock, digital clock.
What about like a water clock? So sundial, water clock.
I mean, maybe they're alternate lines.
Oh,
maybe it's like sun's a fire-based clock.
Yeah,
a water clock
is water. Obviously.
What's an earth clock?
Probably just a normal clock. The moon. The moon's a clock.
It's time for clock. The moon.
Yeah. I mean, people calendar, you know.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I'm thinking like a stone calendar. Yeah, that could work. Stone calendar.
Oh, because
it's a Mayan stone calendar that we've. What a fun Pokemon we've got here. Yes, so it's the Pokemon 25th anniversary. Excitement.
So they're coming out with the Pokemon Snap remake, which is quite exciting.
Snippety snap.
A lot of people I know have played the original Pokemon Snap and have very fond memories. So very excited for that. I've never actually played the original Pokemon Snap. So this will probably be my first time actually experiencing it firsthand.
Well, I'm an ancient old man and you're a hip young thing. So, I mean, the N64, how much did it interact with your...
Quite a fair amount, actually.
Did? Oh.
I managed to get an N64 when I was about 7. But we only had 3 games on it.
See, people younger than me, I de-aged them too much. And I'm like, did you come out after the PS3? Is that when you were born?
No.
Was your first game Uncharted 2?
My first game was actually Crash Bandicoot, Paul.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Very excited.
But yeah, and there's also, I think, rumors, I'm not too sure it's confirmed, but they're going to do a remake of Pokemon
Diamond or something.
Diamond and Pearl.
But that's not the most exciting news that we looked at before.
The most exciting news is that Katy Perry is doing a musical collaboration with Pokemon.
What's not to like? I mean, maybe that news, but we'll play it because why not?
I mean, despite the jab there about my age, I don't actually listen to Katy Perry that much.
I feel like Katy Perry's an old musician now.
I guess, yeah.
The kids are like, I was going to make a fun hip reference, but I can't.
You can't.
No, because they'd be way too old.
I'm sure we have like elderly people.
It's a Bacharach.
I'm so sorry.
You know, I recently only discovered Billy Joel recently.
What?
I mean, like, I knew Billy Joel, but I hadn't really listened to him. And I'm like, this is actually pretty... He's got a wide selection of things that he did.
We're going to start a whole segment where it's just introducing Paul to music.
Paul to things. Things that Paul existed, like classic... I don't know. I was a child of the alternative 90s, so that's where everything sat. So I kind of like missed all like this popular staples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like relive your 90s, but like... like the people did.
I get very excited when a local band that I was into when I was young is still here and still
Really?
working. Yes, sometimes they've had to change names, but yeah, I saw a Sucker Punch is doing stuff. They used to be called the Kidney Thieves back when I was in a band. I'm like, yes, good. Anyway,
amazing.
Pokemon. Yes, I'm looking forward to Snap. I've never really been a huge fan, but I like the idea. There's actually there's an indie Pokemon Snap out at the moment called Penko Park, which is a bit like spooky and creepy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I might give that a go as well. Just like for comparison's sakes. But yeah, we should be getting more news about what's actually happening for the 25th anniversary because it's quite a big thing.
It'll probably leak out a bit. And we've got that date in the beginning of March, isn't it? Where everything in Nintendo shuts down. So maybe it's shutting down to turn everything into a Pokemon. We're going to get a Pokemon Miyamoto, a Pokemon Nintendo Park that didn't end up opening in Japan because of COVID.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. This is Zed Games. You're listening to Paul and Zahra. And we are now about to kick into an interview that I had with Tim Roos, the CEO of Zero Latency. So we'll just get right into it, I think.
Let's.
I'm here with Tim Roos. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
You are the CEO for Zero Latency, the location-based VR that started in Melbourne. And you are in Melbourne yourself?
I am, absolutely. Sunny Melbourne.
Yes. Could you give us a quick rundown of what Zero Latency is for people that may not be aware?
Yeah, so Zero Latency is a free-roam virtual reality experience. And what that means is, unlike traditional VR where you're either in a small space with wires or a small space with a wireless headset, we have taken all those wires away and also made it really social and multiplayer. So you come to a Zero Latency venue, we put you in a backpack and a headset, give you a controller, and then you essentially interact with these digital worlds that we've created just like they're real life.
So you were kind enough to let the Zed Games crew come to the Brisbane location, and we played through Singularity, and some of those levels are just like a fun house, where it's like, walk down this slope. Because you're not physically walking down a slope.
One of that game was an interesting challenge where we created it, and one of the developers at the time set himself a challenge of basically doing it end to end without having any like level loads or teleports. So it's a pretty interesting experiment. I think probably the only game that we've built, I think anyone in the world's built, where you never have a real level load. Sometimes other games where we have to transport you to a different area, we sort of fade in, fade out, and you're in a different zone. But that one for the full 30 minutes, you're reusing the space, using tricky things like ramps, elevators, moving platforms to send you through like hundreds and hundreds of meters of, virtual world when you're just traveling, through a 200 square meter space.
Yeah, because the warehouse is big, but not that big.
Yeah, it's not a football field, sadly. One day.
One day we'll get there.
Exactly.
That's one of the interesting things I thought about Zero Latency is that you guys are you're developing the hardware and the software on site because upstairs you had that little development studio that sat above the floor. And so you could actually sit down and watch people playing and testing the game sort of real time.
Yeah, absolutely. That was so back in 2015 or 2016. We were all housed in one building, which had its moments of it's got pretty squishy, but it was really very cool to be able to, if you stayed at work past 5 o'clock, you could actually watch people play, and that connectivity to the customers was really cool. We actually do that now when we bring in groups of people under our Alpha Army program, we call it, where they come in a couple of times a week and play the games in our new office, so you can actually get people through and play and see what works. It's really, 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 really critical. But we've moved on as well from our hardware being. We're trying to get what we've been doing all along, really, is getting best of breed hardware that's available and putting zero latency sort of special sauce in it, and then linking it all together to make it a really seamless experience for operators and for users as well, or for guests. So before. Like when we started building it, I think we had a DK2. We had a few DK2s that was a bit of a grey area about whether we could use them. And, and we're building our own backpacks from scratch with stuff from the computer store, putting backpacks that were getting hand-stitched by a cosplay person in Melbourne, which is pretty cool. But pioneering has its downsides because it's very hard to scale that up as a business. So we've luckily been able to as we go, switch out different products like new headsets, new backpacks to, I guess, streamline what we do and focus on what we really want to be doing.
Yeah, when we went through, the hardware we used was pretty similar to what I recall back in the day. Sort of the stuff that the tracking balls similar to like the PS Move.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they actually like pieces of PS Move hardware, or are they just similar concept?
They used to be. They used to be butchered PS Move controllers, but actually all that stuff's made bespoke for us for different manufacturers around the place. But so Brisbane's actually going to get a refresh probably in the next maybe 6 months onto our new Gen 2 gear. But it's a really robust platform, Gen 1, which is what you would have played up there, and still delivers a pretty awesome experience. And you can still play all our games on it. It's pretty cool, Brisbane as well. It's a nice big space up there as well.
Are all the games that are in your catalogue, are they all developed in house?
Actually, no. Well, the ones that are available to the majority of the public are all developed in house. We've got a new game that we're rolling out called Mission Maybe, which is an awesome game. More for sort of families. It's a shooter.
Scary Girl, isn't it?
Scary Girl Mission Maybe. So that's actually an Australian guy that created that IP. But so that's a new game that was developed by a third party, which they'd actually built it for a system like ours, and they ported it across. And that had its own challenges and its own opportunities, and that was a good project. We learned a lot. I think everyone learned a lot in that project to sort of make something that works well for our system and for our clientele. But our latest game, which is probably in this final stage of development, is working with Ubisoft on the Far Cry IP to bring the Far Cry 3 world into VR and free roam VR, which is awesome. And that's such a great experience. It's pretty ambitious. It's a full half hour. Like some of our games are only 15 minutes long, and you play two of them. It's a full half hour, seamless experience.
And are you working with really any cool Ubisoft teams with that, or is it?
Yeah, we are. We're working. We're working with. So essentially, we have engaged with them. We've worked with them for almost 3 years to sort of find the right time, and the hardware had to be at a level where it could provide an experience that they'd be happy putting the IP on. And our Gen 2 hardware fitted that bill, and then we've just been working with them. They're doing all the dev on it, but where we come in, so it's just really cool. It's interesting to work with a big studio and learn how they do things and the strengths and weaknesses of their models and everything, and but building it from scratch in that IP. So going, okay, here's some constraints. Like we want it to feel like Far Cry, but we also need to take advantage of what's awesome in a system. We need to make it super fun and cooperative for 8 players, up to 8 players. And it's awesome. It's a really fun adventure. I said it's the most ambitious thing we've done. You really feel like you've gone on this pretty intense journey because you travel through kind of almost 8 or more, depending on how you sort of frame them, 8 separate kind of areas. So you really, you start up high, you go down low, you get giving too much away, but you have this really pretty intense time and you travel a lot of ground, which is something that it's more expensive to do in development because you've got to keep generating assets, but there's something really fun and you sort of lose your sense of time and place when you're traveling through this giant world. It's definitely worth the investment. It's a very, very fun game.
I mean, you definitely stick us in a helicopter at some point and we shoot things as we go into an encampment, right? I mean, it's Far Cry.
We've actually we've used helicopters before. This one may or may not have a helicopter, but it's a very cool experience and fun to to meet some of the iconic villains from that franchise in VR is pretty cool as well. Some really interesting new ground that we're traveling there, and one of our sort of goals when we do content is to try something like we don't want to reinvent the wheel every time because that's just madness, but to bring something new to each game that we build. So we'll bring a bunch of learnings from all our other games and we know what works, but then we'll go, okay, let's try something different with this game.
So I had one very specific hardware request inquiry from when I was playing, which was the guns, which feel not pretty well mapped inside. It's great holding a real object, but I'm a child of the arcade. I love Time Crisis. I really love some sort of some force feedback, some sort of haptic feedback on stuff like that. Is that anything that might be coming in the future?
Look, haptics is very challenging. We've tried a bunch of different ideas. We've tried vests. We had solenoids hooked up. We've tried off-the-shelf gear.
I've used one of those before. Very mixed results, aren't they?
Yeah, the Wuja vest is pretty good, but it's an interesting combination of it adds complexity to the system, and it's another thing to charge, another thing that can go wrong. And when it's not done well, it's bad. I feel we get an okay result having a heavier prop and the audio, but yeah, I really hope that someone solves the haptics problem. We've tried to solve it, but it's a bridge too far for us to make something that is, because you're constantly balancing quality of experience, but also what people are willing to pay per ticket, what people are willing to pay to buy a system. And that's the kicker.
Just generally, you're opening a new studio in Sydney? A new location in Sydney?
Yeah. We've got one open in Brisbane right now. And one open. It just opened up in just opened up in Sydney just before Christmas. So yeah, if you're in pretty much any if you're in Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Sydney, Melbourne, or Perth, head on down to a Zero Latency.
Yeah. And at the moment, what sort of timeline this year would we expect to try that Far Cry game that's coming out?
It's in the first half of this year. It's going to be shipped.
Oh, well,
find the right time.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, Tim. It's been great having a little chat with you. Great.
Likewise. I enjoyed it. That was great. Looking, all the best.
Thanks for that little chat there, Tim. That was good. This is Paul, Zed Games. He was Zahra. So yeah, about, what was it, 3 weeks ago?
I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we went and had a little play session.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun. We had like the backpacks with the headset, with the VR headset, the earphones. We got our gun thingos.
Yeah. About gun thingos. Yeah,
the guns.
I just like to call it the shooty stick.
The shooty stick.
Yeah.
It was like a shooty board, really.
Yeah, because it's quite a large warehouse just down around Tenerife area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really wish that, because the whole Zed Games crew, except for Melee, went to go play, and Rani was unfortunately unable to play because it was very intense VR. So she got quite a lot of motion sickness, and it was just like, but she got to watch us from the outside while we were running around in the warehouse thinking we were really cool.
Oh, we definitely looked cool in VR. Everyone looks cool in VR.
We
all
looked
the time.
awesome in VR. Outside of VR, I would pay money to see what we looked like.
I reckon they could sell just sell little videos just for private. Just like, put this on your TikTok or something. Here you go. Because I think currently with the old sort of optical tracking with that Move stuff, I think they have to have it all dark. But I think the new stuff, they don't have to have a dark room.
Yeah,
so they could film you pretty well.
It gives a lot of possibilities, especially for like video compilations afterwards. Like, this is what you were looking at.
So cool. This is Zed Games. I am Paul, and now we're going to jump into a review of Osu by Zahra here. So take it away, please.
What is Osu? What does Osu look like? How do you play Osu? What makes Osu so compelling? Put simply, Osu is a game about circles, and hitting those circles to the rhythm of the music. Circles appear, you click those circles, and more circles appear. At the end, you are scored based on how well you hit the circles. Simple, right? Simple doesn't mean easy though. When you load up the game, you are hit by intense, hectic music that makes you want to move. You can select a map to play, called beat maps by players, and away you go. You'll see dozens of circles appear, and you have to click them at just the right moment to get those 300 points. But not all circles are the same. Most of them you will just click, but others require you to run the ball along a track. Another mechanic is to spin a wheel very, very quickly. That's just standard also, of course. There are other game modes where you hit a drum to the beat, or catch fruit to the beat, or play a small piano, also to the beat. It's rather straightforward, but the challenge comes with having to do these things to the beat. It's intense, and even starting with the easy beat maps, you can find yourself overwhelmed by how many circles appear. Miss too many of them, and the beat map comes to a disappointing stop. So, you'll have to try again. Learn the rhythm of the music and the beat map. Listening to the music isn't even wholly necessary, with visual cues indicating when exactly to hit the circles. But you will learn the rhythm, find the beat, and roll with it. Before you know it, you'll settle into a groove. Now, a lot of the beat maps are extremely challenging, and there is a huge jump between the easy beat maps and the normal beat maps. There were so many circles. But this is where mods come in handy. You have the ability to play the beat map at half speed with larger circles, or to simply make it impossible to fail. All these are useful for learning a new beat map, or to simply have a more chill time. These mods will affect your score modifier, so if you have dreams of becoming the top OSU player, well, you only get so far. But likewise, if you do master a beat map, you can add mods to make it more difficult, and these will increase your score modifier. Now, obviously, music is a huge aspect to this game, and it does not disappoint. There is a wide variety of music from various genres, and it's really hard not to just jam with a lot of them. In addition, there are artists who will compose tracks specifically for OSU, or lend their sweet tunes to the game. And it is possible to actually create your own custom beat maps for songs. There is a community surrounding this game, full of people who really enjoy OSU, and want to see their favourite songs in it. Honestly, I have hunted down songs in the game just so I could listen to it later. Overall, I really enjoy OSU, and I enjoy the process of learning a beat map, practicing, and watching my own personal score improve. I don't love seeing it compared against the leaderboard, but I've never had any serious dreams of becoming the best at this game. I love how flexible the controls can be. You can play with just a mouse, with a mouse and keyboard, with a controller, or with a tablet. Fair warning though, if you play with a mouse, give yourself lots of space to move. I love that there is a community full of serious and casual players, and that the game is constantly getting updated, and that the community continues to introduce new content. I also love that it is 100% a free-to-play game. I do wish the menu interface was a little easier to use, and that importing beat maps was a bit simpler. Hint, double-click them when you downloaded them. But these are things I believe will continue to improve with time. But there's already so many ways to adjust my gaming experience. With such an active fan base and community, and a team that keeps the game alive, OSU is here to stay. Unlike all these circles I'm clicking.
I looked up because it's been a while since I've heard the name OSU put out there. So OSU's been in public development for 13 years now. So, and I looked there. There's also mobile builds of it now.
Yeah, they're not great. The PC, the computer build is the most stable, and it's actually reached its sort of, I guess, its complete form. Yeah, it had a stable release in 2020. Yeah. Which pretty good for a sort of public thing to ever actually say, hey, this is the actual game now. Yeah. Because OSU is based on the old DS game, OSU Tatake Winden, which is one of my favorite rhythm games of all time. Also, it's a bugger to get now, unfortunately. Yeah. The English, which is pretty much the same game, but just different music, Elite Beat Agents, you can kind of get that a bit easier. Yeah. But yeah, such amazing games. The thing that OSU, I don't know if they have, do any of the people making maps for it, can they add like animations and other content to it? They can add videos in the background. I believe they can also add sort of custom sounds to when you when you click the circles, and even add little effects to it as you go.
Because that's what the genre, like, I mean, I assume the creator obviously loved it and wanted to do more and wanted to have something that people could make their own. Yeah. Because not only are you playing along with music, the best maps are ones that feel like you're also playing music with it. Yeah. And with the DS game, you were telling little stories as you went as well. Nothing like the Ghost Motorcycle.
It's not quite like that.
No, that took a lot of production value for that.
But one of the things that I actually found really interesting about this game is that competitive professional OSU players will actually use this game to warm up before their tournaments, which I find adorable in a way. I
mean, it's like when you were saying earlier that can be very hard, because I assume most people that play this are hardcore, and a lot of that stuff is going to get wild very quickly.
It's like the first time I got a perfect run, I was so excited, and I saw what the
you looked at the leaderboard,
and I was like, how on earth did you get all the way up there? And I'm all the way in 4,000th.
Oh, it's very unfair. This is Zed Games. Well, the end of Zed Games, actually.
The end of Zed Games for tonight.
Yes. We don't have much to say at the end here other than goodbye. So goodbye from me, Paul.
I'm not ready to say goodbye.
I was like, come on, pick it up.
I'm
Dead
not
air.
ready to say goodbye.
Well, you must.
It's too soon. We haven't had enough time. Okay,
Yeah, let's talk about more Japanese beat games. That's my in. Thank you for listening. We will catch you all again 6 p.m. next week on Full Triple Z for Zed Games.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, check out our podcast on Spotify.
Or follow us on social media at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.